Brightburn, out in cinemas now, the new horror film. And despite the fact that there are no big Hollywood names involved in the film, apart from James Gunn, who was just a producer on this one, I was really, really excited about this film ever since I saw the first trailer. And the reason is the premise of the film. So we have a young couple living in rural Kansas on a farm, and they are trying to conceive a child unsuccessfully. And then one night, a meteor crashes in the nearby woods, and it turns out that it's not actually a meteor but a small spaceship. And in the spaceship, the couple finds a small boy wrapped up in a red blanket. So they take him in and they raise him as his own son. And then as he grows up, it becomes more and more apparent that he's no ordinary human. And then he never gets hurt. He gets super strength and super speed, and he can fly, and he's got laser in his eyes. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? It's Superman. But there is a twist, because as it turns out, this particular Superman is a psychotic evil monster. And we learn that as he's reaching puberty at the age of 12. So the premise is just terrific. I mean, on paper, it's the best idea ever, right? It's almost like one of those genius ideas that you, after you hear it, you think to yourself, how come I never thought about that, or anyone else for that matter? How is it possible that no one has done this before? Because it just seems to make so much sense. And that was my initial reaction, and so I had my expectations set really high. And perhaps that was a mistake, because I was disappointed by the film. And it's almost weird, because if you examine the movie really closely, there really isn't too much wrong with it, technically speaking. Most of the scenes look great, with the exception of one at the very end, which is just embarrassingly awful due to poor CGI. The actors are good. In particular, Jackson A. Dunn, who plays the kid Brandon. The film is paced quite well. It never really feels boring. But on the other hand, it also doesn't feel exciting. It's like warm beer or rice without sauce. It's just there. Nothing about it feels special or great. And I think it has to do with the framing of the story. See, when you do a film where your villain is a Superman gone bad, basically all powerful and almost indestructible, you can go two ways about it. The way I see it. So one, and that is what I was hoping for, is that you just go crazy, go wild with this premise, make it an completely apocalyptic scenario, show this little kid just wrecking fools left and right with no chances of survival, right? And it's very obvious that this couldn't have been done properly on the kind of budget that the film had. Horror films are typically made for pocket change when you compare them to other Hollywood movies, and you can't really show planet-wide or even city-wide destruction with that money. So the other way is to have the movie be more personal, more smaller in scope. So you would probably have a group of normal human characters trying to survive this maniac, right? Running away from him. And this is the way that the film tries to go. But the first problem is that these additional characters, especially the first victims of Brandon, are unlikable assholes, and you don't feel any remorse for Brandon for killing them, and you still end up cheering for him, for the little evil Superman, right? So you're actually quite happy when they go down. And so you have this unbeatable boogeyman running around, killing off characters that you do not emphasize with in the slightest. And that means that there's absolutely zero tension at all. At no moment of the film was I scared or even anxious for the characters. I was just watching the events emotionlessly, going, yeah, that's another one dead. And it seems that the makers of the film realized that as well. So they resort to body horror to creep the audience out instead. I mean, some of the death scenes are really fucking nasty. I mean, over the top disgusting. Without spoiling anything, there is a scene involving an eye and a piece of glass. Yeah. So, again, while the premise itself was fantastic, the movie, I think, fails to deliver on it. It is simply too mediocre, too small in scope to be the kind of fun I was hoping for. I did like the ending, and I think it sets up a potential sequel. And who knows, maybe they make one, maybe it's excellent, but Brightburn, not so much.